Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Coming up on today's show, does Kirby Smart have a problem?
And there's always this X Factor dude that gets the Hawks. But can an X Factor from the Hawks get the Cavs?
And a big name college football athlete is out here getting a chance to go with WWE. Woo, we got to talk about all that right here. That's next, right here on ATL Day Ones. Let's go.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
I want to start by saying thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. Remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. Really appreciate that from you in advance. Today's episode of ATL Day Ones is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. But T, when you think about all of the things that the Georgia Bulldogs have done over the past couple of years, you know, that they've had to have talent in order to be back-to-back national champions. But one of those talented players, Kendall Milton, we found out is going to be down for the rest of the spring practice, which is going to equate to about 3 weeks or so, and he will not return. And one thing that we've learned about Georgia and what they've been known for is to have embarrassment of riches at the running back position. But should we be concerned that Kendall Milton, once again, is dealing with injuries and this may slow him down a little bit come September?
No, because you have a couple guys coming back from last year for starters. Antoine Edwards, who had 7 touchdowns. His average was about 5.5, not the 6.9 yards per game that you necessarily got from Kendall Milton, but I think 5.5 yards is still pretty darn reasonable, right?
Pretty productive,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we started to see Branson Robinson come in, really coming on in the back part of last season as well, averaging about 4.9 yards of carry, and also had a couple touchdowns, 3 touchdowns to be exact. So I think, and that's just for starters, that's just an example of who they were and what they brought to the backfield last year. But when you look at running back and you just go down the list, and I'm not even talking about looking at stats, just go down the list. They literally are carrying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 running backs. So in my opinion, I'm like, okay, I don't see, if you're carrying 8 running backs, you tell me, I don't see where that, and like you called it, embarrassment of riches, is something that literally this team should be worried about. I just don't.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it either. Now, if you're telling me that one of the guys who are vying for the starting quarterback spot gets hurt, that's a totally different conversation, because when you talking about having Mike Bobo coming in as the OC, a new OC, you know, he said he's going to, you know, bring some of the same concepts that they brought to the table last year, and that's pretty simple. Hey, run the ball. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to be something that, you know, that's going to be an easy transition. But like you said, when you're talking about a running back spot and given what they are bringing back on their offensive line, you know, the guys that are blocking for them, those are some of the things that kind of fall into whether or not I'm concerned, and I'm not too concerned when you're talking about Georgia and at the running back spot. Any other spot, maybe the defensive end, outside edge guy, you know, wide receiver, you know, Ra Thomas and all those guys, Dominic coming in that are coming in right now. You know, that's something like that can affect them down the road. But when you're talking about a running back spot, where they are just absolutely loaded every year. And guys are just basically waiting in line to get the opportunity to go to the NFL. Yes. So, yeah, this is one of those situations that I'm not too concerned about. But those are some of the things that I feel like. And then plus it's spring training. So I think Kirby Smart and company will definitely be able to bounce back.
And they've been a 1-2 punch. They've been running back by committee for a couple of years now anyway. So
they had no choice.
Well, I don't know, because Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, I think that was by design. I don't know that that's necessarily by like force, but I think that was more by design, but it works for them. And they seem to reload whenever one of those backs goes down. You know, you think about Kenny McIntosh and the 1-2 punch between Kendall Milton and him, and sometimes injuries would be an issue with those two, and somebody would step up to the plate. So the running backs whom we just mentioned, who started to come on last season, they might not even be the featured backs this season, because that's how loaded Georgia is, and how many times has someone just kind of come up from the ranks and just taken over.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that, this is, and those are some of the things you count on, right? And they count on it because that's how they recruit. They recruit like the best running backs in the country.
Yeah.
So when for these situations, and I think that Kirby Smart and his whole team down there in Athens, they got this thing covered. And I'm not concerned, and I'm sure Kirby may say, hey, we're hoping everything comes back and I'll give you that dignified speech. But deep down, he's like, man, I got this. Like, y'all don't know who I got in this stable. Do y'all see who I have in this stable? Yes, and we see who you have in that stable. So that's why we're not concerned either, Kirby. Now, when it comes to speaking of spring training, how about this, T? The Braves, they are off to a great start. We're talking about Ozzie Albies coming back healthy. You got nephew Ronnie coming back healthy. Eddie Rosario looks like he's finally starting to come back around. He was looking good in the World Baseball Classic. So all of these factors, right? And then you got the athletic out here popping off, talking about Matt Olson is a MVP favorite. I promise you, they listen to the show, T. Come on now. Who would be saying how that shift, being that shift is going to be out this year, is going to benefit the most? And I always said that it's going to be Matt Olson, but I'm at the point now, T. Like, here's my question to you and to Locked On Sports Atlanta listeners out there. You can drop it in the comment box. Are you even concerned about the Phillies and the Mets out here spending all type of money and then asking for some of it back on a $25,000 seats? Are you even concerned about anybody else in the division right now?
Not at all, because the Phillies barely disposed of the Braves, and the Braves had a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries to key players. You just mentioned some of them. Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Eddie Rosario, 3 of the 4 who've been lights out in spring training. So if 3 of the 4 weren't themselves or were outright out of the playoffs or the postseason, and they're all telling us they're back, they're 100%.
Yeah.
And Matt Olson, who was pretty much 100% last year, now has changed his stance just a little bit, which he started to do late last season in the postseason, oddly enough, against the Mets and the Phillies. But if you take those 3 who are back and you take him, I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't really care how much the Mets have loaded. I don't care how much the Marlins have loaded. I don't care how much the Nats have loaded. I would put this lineup top to bottom. I would put this Braves lineup against any team in Major League Baseball this season and expect nothing but for them to have every opportunity to not just get another division win, but also to be right there vying for a World Series title.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that's what makes it so. Like, listen, all the names you just threw out there. Like, you still are missing a couple names.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We didn't even talk about Austin Riley.
Austin Riley, you know
Michael
what I'm saying?
Harris
Who was
the
an MVP candidate?
Right.
Michael Harris, who was Rookie of the Year. Spencer Strider, who was right behind him in second place.
Yeah.
Like, this team is so loaded. But
and
also to add to that, T. Here's another little thing as far as within the division. Edwin Diaz gone. He's gone for the Mets. Then you got Rhys Hoskins, who is a Braves killer. I didn't even know who Rhys Hoskins was for a couple of years until he started playing against the Braves. I'm like, man, this dude kills the Braves every time he plays against them. So, so I think that, with those couple of injuries, that's going to have an effect on those teams. Indeed. And, I know they got Bryce Harper still with the Phillies. They may be able to supplement some of that, but that is a loss for them. And I think that, what the Braves have been dealing with, and the depth that they have, and you got guys like Dylan Dodd and Jared Schuster who are willing to step in and give you a couple of starts until Kyle Wright, who was the major league leader in wins last year with 21. Yeah, like I'm so not concerned about what's going on, and I wholeheartedly feel that the Braves – a Braves player this year will be donning that MVP trophy this year. Yes. I don't know who. I can't tell you who. I got a couple hunches. Matt Olson, maybe Ronald Acuna nephew gets back into that conversation. But T, this is something that we got to be locked in for this 162 this year.
Indeed. And you look at, and it's unfortunate because you never want anybody to go down. And of course, Rhys Hoskins is going to get a second opinion. But the bottom line is Rhys Hoskins is done for the season. So that guy who is the Braves killer, again, if he's not in that lineup, not to say they don't have other weapons, but that is a critical piece for them too. And of course, the Braves, all of those individuals we mentioned, they have to get through 162 games, hopefully, or somewhere close by without any major injuries themselves. But if everything is equal, then I still have no problem giving it to the Braves.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll probably even put the Gwinnett Stripers up against a couple of major league teams. Definitely the A's.
Probably.
They out here. Out here started. Their opening day started as Kyle Muller. And that was kind of like a throw-in for the Braves when they made their trade for Sean Murphy. So those are some of the things that, we're definitely going to keep an eye on. We hope you keep an eye on them as well. But coming up next, how about this? Does Quinn Snyder have to make Trae Young and Dejounte Murray work? Ooh, we'll talk about that next. But first, we got to talk about FanDuel.com/LockedOn because it is the #1 sportsbook in America. March Madness has jumped off. So what are you waiting on? I need you to go there right now. And guess what? When you go there, and if you're a new customer, they have the no sweat first bet up to $1,000. There's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. So you're out here losing your shorts. You betting on all the #1 seeds to get to the Final Four. Man, they got you covered. Go ahead and go there right now. All you got to do is download the app. It's super safe, secure, and easy to use. You got to worry about no fugaziness. Then you can bet on everything from the money line, the point scores, and threes drained. So, yeah, it's super easy. Go there right now. Plus, you can even have a chance for a bigger payout with a same game parlay. So make sure you go check those guys out. So now, don't miss the no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets back when you go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
So the big question of the day that you mentioned is that we are winding down the season for the Hawks. And at the beginning of the season, there was so much excitement. The minute the news hit that Dejounte Murray was being traded from the Spurs to the Hawks, like the city was just on fire.
Yes.
But here we are, winding the season down, and that combination of the backcourt that we just thought was going to stand up to any backcourt in the NBA just hasn't quite turned out or panned out, at least so far, to be what we thought they were going to be. So now we have a new coach in Quinn Snyder, who has a different mindset about offense that he's actually verbalized these last couple of days on what he needs to see in that offense. But after going after Dejounte Murray the way you did and giving up what the Hawks gave up for him, is this a situation where Snyder is going to have to find a way to make it work for the two of them? Or low key, is he going to have to decide which of these guys is truly someone you want to build around going forward?
Wow. That is a really good question, but I think that just given the gravity of how they acquired Dejounte Murray, you're giving up 3 first-round picks, and then you're talking about 1 year and potentially trading him in the offseason going into his last year of his contract. I don't know if that's a good look as an organization because we all know that Travis Schlenk was the one who wasn't necessarily all on board with this trade. So I think that those are some of the behind-the-scenes folks, Nick Ressler, that pushed this thing through, Landry Fields. So they are going to say, hey, Quinn, we need you to bring your expertise to this situation and make this thing work. Because I don't think that it's going to come down to a scenario where they have to choose either or. I think that's a little extreme. I think there have to be some extreme circumstances in order to happen in order for that to work. Maybe Trae Young start going crazy or acting a nut, and they like, okay, all right, he requests a trade or something like that. I don't see that happening. But yeah, I think Quinn Snyder, I would think that was one of the reasons why he was brought in with 21 games to go to say, hey, man, see what's going on, diagnose the issues, and see what we have to subtract in order to make this work. Because that backcourt, we have to at least make it work for the next 2 years. Yeah. And it's from a contractual standpoint and from a draft capital standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that before you kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater with those two, I truly believe you have to get better surrounding partners, right? Like your surrounding cast is not fit for what Quinn Snyder wants to do. That's one of the reasons that the Hawks extended Bogey, because in Quinn Snyder's offense, he's looking for that guy who can catch and shoot. He's looking for that guy who
Gotta have it.
Yeah, and he's looking for a guy maybe to complement Trae, and because Trae's pretty much the only one on that team who can dribble, shoot the three. So I think before you can go anywhere with what happens with Trae and what happens with Dejounte, you're going to have to get some more weapons on offense. You're going to have to get some more sharpshooters, and hopefully AJ Griffin gets back to form, and that'll be an weapon coming off the bench for you. But I think also you've got to decide what you're going to do with your front court. And until you can do that, I think ultimately speaking, you really can't make a decision on your backcourt. I don't think there's enough. To me, Jarvis, they don't really have a strong enough 9-man rotation. And that's really the other piece there. Like, we're seeing the bench mob get back to who they used to be, but they're not quite there yet. So once we have a full 9-man rotation, once we have the kind of players like Quinn Snyder used to have, like a Rudy Gobert type, if you will, a Donovan Mitchell type, like getting more in that space a little bit, if you will, then we can have some conversation. But I think right now it's just kind of, it's too soon to tell. It's too soon to tell. But I will tell you this piece of what I do like about what Quinn Snyder said, and that is he liked what the communication was on the back end of the game Sunday against the Grizzlies, right?
Yeah.
And I would tend to agree with him. I thought that the defense stepped up a little bit more in that game. And one of the things I was thinking about with them as well is if indeed the defense actually stepped up, then you're not going to see things like random players like David Roddy taking coast to coast, right? Or Tyus Jones out here like blowing things out of control. Or, and I'm going to say it the way I mean it, the dude who scored 25 points in the second quarter of Saturday night's game versus the Pacers. I said it that way.
When you say his name,
because it's always just random dudes. I mean, you just plug it. Exactly. It's always just a random dude that you can plug in and put him anywhere. You can put him at the top of the key. You can put him on the side of the perimeter, and he is just going to catch, shoot. So that to me is my question. We already know that from the Cleveland Cavaliers perspective, it could be anybody. We have seen Ricky Rubio go off from three. We know Donovan Mitchell is capable of it as well. So, and then they've got all of these kind of like names, these extra X factors. Who in the world can be the X factor for the Hawks tonight?
Wow. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, and I might be wrong, and I don't care if I am. DeAndre Hunter. Like, I need DeAndre to be the defensive player of the year that he was coming out of college. Yeah. Like, this is the guy that you were brought in to be a two-way guy. Yeah, like, you know, he has some inconsistency shooting the rock. Yeah, I get that. That's going to happen. But when it comes to defensively, like, that has to be brought each and every night. Yeah. And if you can't give me that each and every night, I don't need to have you in my starting lineup. Yeah. Because that's what starters do. There are certain aspects of your game that you're going to be able to bring consistently. And you kind of ride the wave when it comes to other things. Because if you're not known as a shooter, I know you're going to struggle shooting a three. But if you are known as a guy who can be a two-way player, a solid two-way player, you know, with defense being your best asset, like that has to be brought every night. Yes. Like no excuses unless you're hurt or you're dealing with some injuries. And and if you are, you don't, like I said, you don't need to be in that starting lineup. So for me, it has to be DeAndre Hunter because it just hasn't been clicking on that side of the court. On that side of the basketball for me. With my eyes and what I've seen, I don't think DeAndre Hunter has been playing up to the level that he should be when it comes to the defensive side of the basketball.
Yeah, and I can get with that because if he's not going to give you anything offensively, which he really isn't, then be the perimeter, the wing defender that we need you to be. Because that's how dude, whoever random dude is tonight,
turn that into points. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. Because if you can at least affect the shot of that random dude, then hopefully you'll get the long rebound and not the Cavaliers. And then that'll contribute to your fast break points, right? Because the Hawks actually had a decent number of fast break points compared to the Grizzlies. They were really about even, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, I wholeheartedly agree with you turning that into points. And the other thing is, Jarvis, turnovers, because the Hawks sometimes do a pretty decent job in getting other teams to turn the ball over. They then protect the ball. And like you said, that's what gets them more points. And Jarvis, may I just add to what you said with DeAndre Hunter. If you can just get in there, because we know Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu are just doing a bang-up job. So I'm kind of like a game of spades. I'm going to take that one, and I'm going to say we got 2 books here. Because you know what else needs to be not a book and a possible, but 2 books? John Collins. Because if you can just give a little bit more, I know.
Come on,
I know. Why was I captain obvious? I know.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Like, I'm glad you said it because people like, man, I know Jarvis gonna say John Collins. Oh, she said it this time.
I was about to say, you know what? I said it for family, okay? I said it for family. So come for me. But the reason I said that is because, listen, when you're at that 4, Jarvis, to me, that 4 is a very interesting position, right? Because you have 4s that are more like Onyeka Okongwu, that power forward who's going to go in there and make sure that he's going to swat everything moving in the paint. Mm-hmm. Then you've got those kinds of 4s who are very agile, and they can get out and to the perimeter and make sure that they affect shots, or they can get out there because they're quick, they're agile, they can get out there and affect those mid-range jumpers.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm looking for. Like, we're going to need to see some of that if the Hawks expect to beat the Cavaliers. And not just that, Jarvis, but this is a run where you and I know they're going up to Chicago. The Bulls are smelling blood right now when it comes to the Hawks and the Raptors. Mm-hmm. So you've got to start getting those pieces in place and being that on a consistent basis. Jarvis already told you, so that's 3 times I told you need to do it consistently in order to really maybe pull away and get some sneak wins out of there, right? Maybe you sneak a win at Chicago. Maybe you sneak a win at the Celtics. But at a minimum in this 7-game run, Jarvis, at this point, you've got to start that run in the right place. And this is where you start it. Forget Sunday. It's over and done with. Take these 7 as your sample size and move yourself forward, because that's how you're going to, at least, Jarvis, stay in that 8th spot. Because right now, you're actually in danger of getting into the 10th spot if you're not careful.
Yeah, and we know what the Cleveland Cavaliers are bringing down low. So, yeah, we're going to need that double O and CC combination to come through like good kinfolk tonight.
Exactly, because the last time they played, Jarrett Allen was questionable, and it didn't matter. And Jarrett Allen is questionable again, and it probably won't matter. So, yeah, you are absolutely right. But in the meantime, in between time, of course, everybody, including all of ATL, is still talking about Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
Because now it's like a tug of war, Jarvis. You got Lamar Jackson saying, okay, bye to be more. And then you got John Harbaugh saying, no, we love Lamar. We took a chance on him 5 years ago. Let the Locked On Sports Today folks give you some of their reaction to the biggest news out there in the NFL. You know what to do. After you take a look or listen to ATL Day Ones, make sure you check out Locked On Sports Today. They've got their version of For the Culture. They call it Take of the Day, and they'll give you any and every take, not just across football, but really any sport. But I suspect that might be the top of the order for Locked On. So again, check them out on YouTube or wherever you download your podcasts.
Absolutely. Locked On Sports Atlanta family. Listen up. How about this, y'all? When I tell y'all we are flying to 6,000 subscribers, and it's all because of you that have subscribed to this channel. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, what the hell are you waiting on? I'm sorry. Like become a part of the cool kids, because that's what it's all about in life. Be a part of the cool kids. Sit on the cool side of the cafeteria. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're over there sitting over there in the corner over there looking. Oh, yeah, I like them people over there at ATL Day One. They're pretty good. Well, hit the subscribe button, god dog it. What are you waiting on? We need you. We want you. And we love you. Right here on ATL Day Ones. But this is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, the culture, and whatever the hell we want to talk about. Because that's just how we get down on this show. Today is no different. How about this, T? Former Clemson quarterback Kelly Bryant is going to get an opportunity to showcase his talents to the WWE. And, you know, they're going to go through a week of training and performances and everything. And then they may have the opportunity to get a contract with the WWE. It's going to be him and about 49 other participants. Mark Vital is a former Baylor basketball standout. Is going to be there as well. So, yeah, T, This, to be honest with you, like, this is something like one of those, like, deep down. You know how some people, like, deep down, they want to be singers and other stuff. They want to be able to sing. Right. Like, my deep down thing is, like, WWE. Like, if they would have done this when I was in college, oh, my goodness, I would have so been all on board for this. This is a really, really cool opportunity for Mr. Kelly Bryant.
Well, you answered my question because I was going to ask you. Normally, I would give you a response, but I was going to start with a question and say, okay, Jarvis, is this normal? Is this something that dudes want to do or former football players or former athletes want to do? And clearly, I got my answer by the joy and excitement in your voice. I'm like,
yes.
What? WWE, what are you talking about? But when you put it in the terms that you just did, which is if there's something kind of buried down inside of you that you say, man, if I could do anything, I would do it. Well, first of all, Jarvis and I are doing it because this is our second career, if you will. So thank goodness, thank God, we are actually pivoting and having the time of our lives. Indeed. Doing that thing that a lot of people, wish they could do or want to do. We actually are doing it. So, and really blessed to be doing it. But if not this, okay, Jarvis, I'm going to give you a chance to figure it out. What do you think I'd be doing if I had that little thing down below? That I could actually, that little thing like, woo, if I could only get a chance to do it.
Ooh, you know what? The first thing that came to my mind, I always got to go with my gut. Like something like on doing Broadway with like Alvin Ailey type of situation, like being on that. Yeah, it would have to be that. Like that's the only thing I could even that came to mind. I was like, because you got your dancing background and all that stuff. Y'all don't know, T know how to get down. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'll let that go. Y'all can drop in the comments where your mind go, because I ain't going there. I ain't going there today. Not today. But, yeah, I think that would probably be something that I think, as far as that, I think it'd be that was something I can see. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, right. And boy, you're spot on because, it would be something like a Broadway performance or Dancing with the Stars or Dancing with the Dancing Dolls at Southern that my mama wouldn't let me do when I was in college. But anyway, so that's what I would actually be doing. You are dead on. It's going to always be something, some performance, some dancing of some sort.
Absolutely.
But low key, Jarvis just gave me some love. So I got to give him some love as well. This might not be his top choice of that little dream or fantasy of what he'd be doing. But man, listen, if, Fred Hammond needed somebody else to be like his, I don't want to even say backup singer, like his co-singer, or, if I could, right. And then I'm thinking or Usher, like if Usher needed himself another little back,
Usher,
can blow.
not Usher.
No. Usher. If Usher needed somebody, brother can blow. Brother can blow.
Hey, you already know, like you spot on, T, because, like my whole idea in this fake reality that we're living in right now, talking about outside, dream gigs. Like for me, it would have been like a picture Nate Dogg from the South, a Nate Dogg from Atlanta. Like that would have been my ideal.
Oh, I like it.
I would have started off doing the whole rap thing, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like the prodigal son, and then eventually I would have morphed into, getting into the gospel world, you know what I mean? But I would have started off with the ratchet, you know what I'm saying? Like a Nate Dogg from Atlanta, like singing hooks for the doggone Outkast and Good and Mob. Like that would have been, man, like, whew, man, you talking about some good times back in the 90s too? Oh my gosh.
I know,
man.
Right? When,
Whew. Man.
When it was on and popping. I love it.
That was a good decade right there.
The way you framed that helped me to reconcile what in the Sam heck is somebody excited about WWE for. But okay.
Yes.
I get it. That's why this 1-2 punch of yin and yang actually works, because there are things that I can't even wrap my mind around, that as he says, the fugaziness.
Fugaziness,
yes. I cannot wrap my mind around it.
Pronounce that fake word.
Yes, that fake word. So anyway, you know what? Do you, Kelly Bryant, and good luck with your WWE dream. I hope it becomes your reality.
No doubt about it. I know I'll be looking forward to it, because we need some fresh talent. You know what I'm saying? Some fresh faces, as they say, in the industry of wrestling. Because, I haven't really watched it since, The Rock and Stone Cold and all those guys. But, hey, if a Kelly Bryant started to make a way into it, to the thing and situation, like, hey, what's your name going to be? Like, I want to check you out, see what's going on. And we appreciate you guys each and every day for checking us out and making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. And remember, check out Locked On Sports today and make them your second listen. They got the biggest news of the day, and they even have the take of the day. Like we have ATL Day Ones right here. We have the For the Culture. They have the take of the day that you can check out and see what the news is buzzing, what's going on in the sports world of today. Now, what I want you to do is make sure before we get out here, I ask you this thing each and every day, y'all. Make sure that you share love, show love, and most importantly, spread love.